You have been carrying the weight long enough. Not just stress or pressure, but regret, doubt, and the quiet fear that maybe too much time has already slipped away. There is a version of you that exists beyond that noise, beyond the mistakes you replay, beyond the feeling that you should be further along by now. That version is not lost. It is waiting. The Stoics understood that reinvention does not come from hype or motivation. It comes from honesty, from facing yourself without excuses and choosing courage over comfort. As a new year approaches, the question is not whether life can change. The question is whether you are willing to stop running from yourself and start living with intention. In this video, we will walk through 5 Stoic lessons that are not meant to inspire you for a moment, but to steady you for a lifetime. Lessons shaped by centuries of hardship, survival, and clarity. If you feel like you are standing at the edge of something new but uncertain, this is where it begins. Lesson 1. Accept what you cannot change. You have been exhausting yourself fighting battles that were never yours to win. Not because you failed, but because some things were never within your control to begin with. The ending of a relationship, the missed opportunity, the apology that never came, the version of life you thought you would have by now. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that you have power over your mind, not outside events, and that realization is where strength begins. Every moment spent resisting the past is a moment taken from the present. You cannot change what already happened, but you can decide what meaning it holds over you now. You cannot control whether someone stays, but you can control whether you abandon yourself. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can stop letting it dictate today. Epictetus said to make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the moment you stop bleeding energy and start reclaiming it. Lesson 2. Your thoughts create your reality. The strongest chains you wear are not made of circumstance, they are made of repeated thoughts. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and that is not poetry, it is instruction. What you think again and again becomes the lens through which you see your life. If you believe you are behind, you will notice proof everywhere. If you believe you are broken, every setback will feel like confirmation. Your mind does not just observe the world, it shapes how the world feels to you. But this is also where your freedom lives. You are not your anxious thoughts. You are not the voice that tells you it is too late. You are the awareness that can step back and question it. When fear says you will fail, pause and ask if that is truth or habit. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Thoughts are weather, not facts. You do not have to obey every storm that passes through your mind. Change the thoughts you feed, and the world you experience begins to change with them. Lesson 3. Discipline is your bridge. You already know what needs to change. Beneath every delay and excuse is a quiet awareness of the gap between the life you have and the life you want. That gap is not closed by wishing or planning. It is closed by discipline. Quiet, repetitive, uncelebrated discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote about getting out of bed at dawn not because it felt good, but because it was his duty as a human being. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates change. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect made visible. Every time you choose the harder option, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. One workout, one page written, one honest conversation. These acts seem small, but they shape identity. Seneca said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Discipline is not what limits you. It is what gives you freedom. Lesson 4. Find strength in silence. The world you live in is loud by design. Notifications pull at you. Opinions surround you. Emergencies appear that are not really emergencies. Noise convinces you that if you stop moving, stop reacting, stop proving yourself, you will fall behind or disappear. Over time, this constant stimulation trains you to avoid stillness because stillness forces you to face yourself. The Stoics understood this trap deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote that nowhere can a person find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in their own soul. That was not an escape fantasy. It was a reminder. You do not need to run away from your life to find peace. You need to create space inside it. Silence is where you stop performing and start listening. When you put the phone down, when you stop filling every gap with sound, discomfort appears first. Restlessness, old memories, questions you have been avoiding. Most people run at that point, but if you stay, something else emerges. Clarity. You begin to notice what drains you and what strengthens you. You realize which problems are real and which ones were created by constant reaction. Silence is where you reconnect with your values. It is where you stop outsourcing your decisions to the noise of the world and return authority back to yourself. This is not about becoming distant or cold. It is about becoming grounded. When you make silence a practice, your reactions slow down. Your judgments soften. Your choices become intentional instead of impulsive. In silence, you remember who you are beneath expectations, beneath roles, beneath fear. And that memory becomes a source of strength no external chaos can take from you. Lesson 5. This moment is all you have. This is the lesson that gives weight to every other one. Time does not wait for you to feel ready. It does not pause while you gather confidence or fix your doubts. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you could leave life right now, and he did not write that to frighten himself, but to sharpen his focus. When you truly understand this, the way you live begins to change. You stop treating days like something to get through. You stop assuming there will always be another chance, another conversation, another year to do what you already know matters. The Stoics did not see this idea as dark. They saw it as clarifying. When you remember that time is limited, trivial things lose their power. Old arguments shrink. Other people's opinions stop controlling your behavior. The urge to impress fades. You become more honest, not because it is easy, but because wasting time pretending no longer makes sense. This lesson pulls you out of autopilot. It forces you to ask harder questions. If this were the last year, would you still live the same way? Would you keep scrolling to avoid your thoughts? Would you keep delaying the work, the conversation, the change you know you need to make? Presence is not about being calm all the time. It is about being awake, about choosing how you show up today instead of assuming tomorrow will fix what today avoids. When you treat the present as valuable, fear loses leverage. Regret stops growing. You act with more care because you know each moment counts. This is not pressure. It is permission. Permission to stop waiting. Permission to live deliberately. And when you practice that daily, reinvention stops being a fantasy tied to a new year and becomes something you do, here and now, one honest choice at a time. 2026 will not magically change your life. A calendar never saved anyone. What changes a life is what you choose to practice when no one is watching. The Stoics never promised comfort. They promised clarity. Accept what you cannot control so you stop bleeding energy. Train your thoughts so your mind stops working against you. Build discipline so your actions match your values. Return to silence so you can hear yourself again. Honor the present so you stop living like time is endless. These are not ideas to admire. They are tools to use. Reinvention does not arrive in one bold moment. It happens in quiet repetitions, in days where you choose honesty over escape, effort over excuses, presence over delay. You do not need to become someone new overnight. You need to become consistent with who you already know you should be. Begin now. Begin again tomorrow. That is how a year changes a life.